This is a demo video for the new Carbonator pedal made by String Effects. You can check out their website at stringeffects.com for more info on this and other pedals. Carbonator is a combination fuzz-fizz effect that can give you varying degrees of fuzz, from psychedelic 60s Hendrix and Jeff Beck era Yardbird sounds, to modern day Eric Johnson-like modded Marshall high gain, to even vintage ripped speaker distortion. In this video, we'll break down the various settings the pedal can give you as a standalone fuzz, as well as show how it can be used in line with other effects for different and unique applications that fit a number of styles. For the video, we'll be plugged into a crate power block solid state amplifier, which is running to an orange 1x12 Celestion cabinet. The guitar is a Samick Malibu Strat with a Duncan JB in the bridge, and a DiMarzio HS3 single coil in the neck, and a DiMarzio HS2 single coil in the middle. Carbonator responds differently to both humbucking and single coil pickups, with specific settings to optimize both that we'll also discuss. Most, if not all, the String Effects distortion pedals are made with the intent of being used with a solid state clean amplifier. If you're not using a solid state amp, make sure that you're at least plugged into the clean channel of your tube amp. The effects are designed to provide all the distortion sounds themselves without the aid or discoloration that can happen when traveling through a tube amp's preamp circuits. The idea is that you can achieve reliable and consistent tube-like distortion regardless of what amp you're using. One thing you'll notice, as compared to many over-the-counter mass-produced pedals such as the Tube Screamer, the Boss DS1, and various other overdrives and distortions that have 3 knobs, the Carbonator, along with several of the other designs, have 6 knobs and/or switches to give you greater control and flexibility in applying the effect to your personal needs. For most of the mass-produced pedals, it only takes a few minutes, if that, to plug it in, dial in a sound, and know everything that pedal does in that length of time. The various distortions created by String Effects are definitely more for the tone connoisseur who feels that 3 knobs just aren't enough to allow the varying degrees of subtle changes that can in turn make a huge difference when going from playing in your bedroom to playing a live show with the band. Many standard effects will sound great, some phenomenal in the bedroom, but when you get out in public at full playing volume with the band, you quickly find out the perfect bedroom tone you had now can't be heard in the mix, and your solos aren't cutting through and possibly getting drowned out by the bass. Aside from the effect itself, this is the main focal point in all the distortion pedals made by String Effects. Here are the controls. Volume, which is self-explanatory, but you want to set that knob to be equal to the level of your amp when the effect is bypassed. Otherwise, you risk overloading the input of the amp and clipping the signal, which will result in unwanted distortion. Here's the bypassed amp setting. The effect engaged. The treble and mid knobs are very sensitive and very important. Use the treble knob to adjust the tone or the EQ of the pedal. Use the mid knob to increase the cut in the mix. This knob is very important when playing with the band and will provide you with the ability to be heard. You can also decrease the treble knob to eliminate excess treble or the ice pick effect, if needed. The fizz switch, when in the up position, provides you with a classic fuzz effect. When in the down position, it's the fizz setting, which is less pronounced fuzz without as much of a clipped pick attack. The gain works hand in hand with the fizz fuzz switch. Start with the gain at the 12 o'clock position and the switch in the up position. This will be your classic fuzz setting. You can increase the gain to achieve more of a high gain modded Marshall type fuzz effect with great sustain. It also feels like the higher the gain setting that there's a bit of an added compression to the signal, which also helps with the sustain. The bass switch acts as an on-off for the bass. Again, with the intent of being heard in the mix in a live band situation, it's often good to allow the bassist to take up those frequencies and let the guitar cover the mid-range. This is a key factor in what differentiates bedroom tone and stage tone. Many players, myself included, like a bit of a lower bottom end when playing alone, but that same setting with the band can become muddy or lost in the mix, especially when it comes time to take a solo. For humbucking and bridge pickups, which usually are designed to cut through the mix themselves, decrease the treble in the mids a bit and leave the bass switch on. For neck position, in most single coils, do the opposite. Set the bass switch to off and increase the treble and mids. Now for some sound examples. Using a single coil pickup, the neck position, had the fizz switch in the up position for maximum fuzz. Gain set at 12 o'clock. Bass in the up position. This will give you the classic late 60s, early 70s psychedelic fuzz, almost like a ripped speaker sound, kind of like on Spirit in the Sky. pickup. Let me go to the fizz setting. Gain still in the same position. This adds a little more fizziness, less of the saturated fuzz. Back to the fuzz setting. Great sustain. Still plenty of fuzz. Switching to fizz. The same thing, bass off, rolling the treble and mids up a bit, back to single coil pickup. Again, with the fuzz. Most guitarists who use pedals obviously have more than one. That doesn't keep most of us from looking for that be-all, end-all pedal that can do everything and produce all the magical distortion sounds we all dream about. I've fallen into this category too many times, but from trial and error and experience, I have to say that if you think like this, you're setting yourself up for not only disappointment, but severely limiting yourself by not experimenting with what different pedals can do in combination with the others. I think you'll be surprised at how a pedal that you may have written off or discarded could come alive when used in conjunction with a few others or placed at a different spot in your signal chain. You may even stumble upon your holy grail of tone by doing this. Alright, now to show some examples of how I'll use the Carbonator in line with some other effects to get some more personal or unique tones. One way that I like to use various distortion pedals is in a similar way that people will use a Tube Screamer or say a Boss DS1 in front of a high gain amp, say a Marshall, Mesa Boogie. Players like Zakk Wylde, Steve Vai have made that popular. If you put a Tube Screamer in front of the Carbonator, it acts in a similar way as it would running the Tube Screamer in front of the preamp section of a tube amp. Doesn't really alter the tone that much. Here's the original. Tube Screamer. It's really more of an effect that you can feel, as a little extra crispness to the pick attack, a little bit more sustain, add a little reverb. Some delay. Another cool addition you can do, add in the Boss DS1 in front of it, gives it more of a added psychedelic type sound, almost an Octavia type effect, adds a little higher overtones to the note. one by itself. The carbonator. Alright, so now for an example of how the carbonator will sound on a musical setting. We'll be playing along to an instrumental tune called Cruiser's Blues. We'll be using the humbucker pickup. We're going to start out the fuzz position, the gain of the carbonation a little past 12 o'clock, the bass in the up position, mids and treble both in between 2 and 3 o'clock. We're using a humbucker pickup, and we'll switch to the fizz setting about halfway through. So I hope this gives you a good idea at the possibilities that the carbonator offers. It's quickly made its way up my list of favorite effects. If you'd like to know more, check it out and the other pedals at stringeffects.com. And also feel free to drop the designer of these an email. He welcomes any and all feedback. His email address is robert@stringeffects.com. Till next time, over and out.